Do you guys remember there ever being a time where people were told that men should not have beards as Jehovah's Witnesses?
To answer your question, yes, beards were a very big thing. When I was appointed as a ministerial servant, they made it very clear that I needed to remain clean shaven and that my appearance had to be exemplary. And because I was also a pioneer, I was out in the ministry a lot, and I was pretty much one of the only ones who was conducting the meetings for field service, most days of the week. So I was always getting in trouble and I was working two jobs at the time, but I'd show up for the for field service and to conduct it. And if I had even a little bit of stubble, I was getting chewed out by the elders. So we see back in the 60s, they were speculating as to whether or not men would start wearing beards again in the New World, which would only make sense if they believed that beards were somehow unacceptable. Now, the majority of the time, their rationale is that beards are viewed as scruffy or unkept or as a symbol of rebellion or something of that nature. They also point to this, I guess, supposed experience where this guy is trying to convert a old woman, and she sees that the person's wearing a beard and assumes that he's part of some sort of like student revolt or something like that, which is kind of an odd way to determine your policies, just simply basing it on the misunderstandings of some old lady that they meet out in the ministry. However, the real reason that beards were banned had basically nothing to do with any sort of like cultural acceptance, because beards have been culturally acceptable in the United States for centuries. So if you notice the picture here, the person on the left is Charles Taze Russell, who was the founder of the Jehovah's Witnesses. He was the like first president. And then on the right, you have Joseph Rutherford, who was the man who basically performed a coup and took over the organization in the 20s. Basically, after he took over, there were a lot of holdovers from the previous leadership who didn't really respect his authority. And so, wearing a beard and modeling themselves after Russell became a symbol of people who didn't really accept his presidency. So, because most of these people didn't, or a lot of these people didn't accept Rutherford as God's true channel of communication, um, Rutherford kind of made this ban on beards in order to help suss out those who were against him versus those who were actually in favor of his position in the organization.